the Sports Betting Network.
Follow the money. That's what I always say. You always follow the money. Yeah.
This is Follow the Money with Mitch Moss and Paulie Howard on VSiN.
Here we go. It is Follow the Money on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Mitch Moss, Paulie Howard with you live downtown Las Vegas, Circa Resort and Casino. Busy Wednesday program lined up over the next 3 hours, including former NFL MVP Rich Gannon coming up in 15 minutes. Sal Palantonio on the program in an hour. Mike Palm studio. Matt Humans as well. A lot to get into today, Paulie, including a recap of what took place last night with the college football playoff and their rankings. Well, I was actually pleasantly surprised and happy I was wrong, thinking that Ole Miss would be out of the top 12, and they would look at overall resume with Georgia and not the head-to-head and keep the Rebels on the outside looking in and not the Bulldogs. Dead wrong with that. 4 teams were in from the Big Ten, 4 from the SEC, Notre Dame, BYU out of the Big 12, Miami, ACC, and Boise. And I think that's probably the way it's going to go. 4 from each of the powers. The only two really true powers that we have in college football.
You're going to piss a lot of people off, and especially if BYU goes 12-1 and doesn't get in. And I'm going to pound the table for 12-1 BYU if that happens. But you run the risk of 4 here, 4 there, and then 1-1 Notre Dame and the group of 5 team, likely Boise. And then what? Then the other 2 conferences are outraged at what's going to happen. And then you got the SEC ticked off, what's going on with Texas and Georgia. And the SEC's probably going to say, well, you know, what if someone loses in the SEC title game with 3 losses? They should be on all this. But I'm aggravated, and the committee's doing a bad job, and they're being lazy.
Well, you were going to be pissed off no matter what happens. I know you.
Okay.
It doesn't matter if the field's 25, 40, 60 teams. You're going to be mad, right?
I just want consistency.
Yeah, well, forget about that. That's not going to happen.
I don't want eye tests to be used. I want set criteria. This is the only sport that does this. I don't want, well, we think this and this. I want set criteria. You have to do this, this, and this to get in. And I hate when fans do this and others about, well, who would you take on a neutral? And that's not how you determine a playoff and a champion. Because at that point, why do we play games?
Sure.
Why just use recruiting rankings and just say, well, we'll see you next year? Because I've seen plenty of this, which we'll get to with an unbelievable blind resume coming up. I hate that stuff. And Danny Cannell had a good tweet about, did you think Vandy would beat Bama? Did you think Northern Illinois would beat Notre Dame, Kentucky beat Ole Miss, and Georgia Tech would beat Miami? The biggest flaw in college football is creating a playoff based on who we think are the best teams. I agree.
And we heard that. I mean, look at last year. That's all you have to look at. Georgia wasn't one of the best 4 teams in college football last year. Florida State was 13-0. I know they lost their quarterback, but they could not get in. We think the team's going to be awful now with no quarterback.
Right. And the backup was coming back.
And what was an error about Georgia? They lost to Alabama in an unnecessary SEC title game, so they can't get into the top 4?
Yeah.
It's been absurd for our entire lifetime.
Right. 1 loss, 2 losses. Well, if you have 1 loss, you're better than the 2-loss team. Or if you have 1 loss, you're worse than the team that's undefeated. Even though that's not true.
What bothers me too, is that the laziness really comes into play by the committee.
Yes.
Because they won't even go down the path of having the conversation of, well, maybe we should consider a 2-loss team over this 1-loss team based on the other teams that they have played. And I'm all about that. College basketball has been doing that forever. College basketball is actually, they've gotten it. They screw over the little guys still in college basketball. But that's when it comes to March, we always are like, let's do blind resume. Let's look at the opponents. Let's look at strength of schedule, who they've defeated overall in the year, who they played, where they played them. That's always been a big deal. College football, nope. Like 1 loss. Who thinks Penn State's good?
Exactly.
Anybody in the country, raise your hand.
Exactly.
Nobody's going to do it.
Yes.
They're not a good football team. They have a terrible head football coach. And please, for the love of God, have them play Ole Miss and make it a pick'em in the first round of the playoffs, because it will be a bloodbath, and I will be on the right side of that game, and it will be Ole Miss. Now, 2 things I want to see here. Can you imagine what Bama and Indiana might look like? Just for that atmosphere at IU?
Yeah, we are looking at several possibilities that the SEC is going to encounter weather.
That's one of them.
Yep.
Please, let's make that matchup happen. And the other one, let's flip it here and have an SEC team go to South Bend and play in about 4 feet of snow.
Let's go.
Come on, sign me up right now.
Happy Valley, right. Penn State hosting, Notre Dame hosting, Indiana hosting. That's right. So, the Big Ten is running a Ponzi scheme. we have these good teams, but the rest of the conference is absolute garbage and trash. So we have 4 of the top 5. But I thought Joey Galloway the last 2 weeks has done a good job. How can Indiana be top 5 with an SOS of 100, yet Army with 130 is barely ranked? And it goes back to all these years, and I've been doing this for 20 years. If you had a group of 5 team, take UNLV for example, if they had Indiana's resume, give me a break.
Oh, they would get laughed out of the room.
Indiana has one good win, if you want to play that game, and it's Michigan, and they almost lost.
That's not even a good win.
I know. Yeah. So what are we doing with Indiana? Why, it's a good story they can't be this high. The same thing with Penn State. Georgia fans ticked off. Texas, number 3, 0 ranked wins. Penn State, number 4, 0 ranked wins. Indiana, number 5, 0 ranked wins. Notre Dame lost to 5-4 Northern Illinois. Georgia, 15-point win at Texas, 28-point neutral site win against Clemson, number 12. Explain the math. What are they thinking?
And not currently in the playoff system.
Yes, right.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you lost on the road at the buzzer to Alabama, and you got pounded by Ole Miss. 2 teams that are currently in the playoff.
I know. It doesn't make any sense.
Not good enough. No, they don't meet the criteria. Well, what criteria, like you talked about? You make it up. It's willy-nilly every single year.
And I want ESPN to have some guts. And I want them to put this up and hold the committee's feet to the fire and say exactly what are you thinking here. So David Hale did this yesterday. Here, how about this for blind resume? And this has got a lot of people ticked off. Okay. Team A, 8-1, strength of record 14. Best win against ESPN FPI number 20. Their loss was to a top 10 team by a field goal. They have 4 wins against Power 4 teams above 500 by an average of 14 points per game. Very good. Team B, 8-1, strength of record 11, best win number 28. Lost at home by almost 3 touchdowns. 1 win against a Power 4 team with a winning record. Team A, right? Not even close?
Well, you would think so, go based on the blind resume here, yes.
Yeah. Team A is SMU, Team B is Texas.
Yeah.
And look at the disparity. One's 14, the other one's 3. And then 2 because they're going to give them the SEC crown. Come on. So don't give me this, well, who would you take? That's not how you do it. And you also don't come back and say, eye test, but then the difference is 11 spots. SMU has a better resume than Texas. Texas beat Vandy. Whoop-de-doo. SMU has a good resume and much better than Texas, as we just pointed out. But one's 14, and the other one's 3. That's nonsense.
Yeah, what are we saying about Texas if they're not in the SEC yet this year? Right, if we had this whole system and it was a 12-team playoff, but Texas was still in the Big 12, along with a bad Oklahoma team, what would we be saying? And they had a loss on the schedule?
I don't get it. I don't understand it. But the brand name bias. I mean, it's just you can't explain the Texas thing. To be that many spots ahead Georgia, who housed them on the road, and then the difference between SMU and Texas. I mean, it's laughable.
Paul, it goes back to year 1 when they had the 4-team playoff, and I was screaming this from the mountaintops on the air for weeks. When TCU was the 3, right? And they won by 50 in the final game of the regular season, and head-to-head never mattered because they lost in a barn burner to Baylor, and they came back and dropped TCU that week because Ohio State was on a mission and they killed Wisconsin in the Big Ten title game, and they dropped TCU out of the top 4, saying, well, the more we looked at it, head-to-head mattered. They can't even be ahead of a team like Baylor. And I said the entire time, if that didn't say TCU on the front of their jersey out of the Big 12 and it said Texas or Oklahoma, you are out of your minds if you don't think the Longhorns or the Sooners are going to be still in the playoffs. So they did it then, and they're doing it 10 years later, and it's always going to be a thing.
Yep.
They always have an issue in college football with, quote, the little guy.
That's right. Boise wins a game, they drop. Texas plays no one. Penn State plays no one. They lose at home, don't score an offensive touchdown, top 5.
Yep.
Indiana plays nobody, top 5. And the Penn State's best road win was USC. They were down 14 in the game.
Yeah.
USC just benched their quarterback.
And he might transfer to the Big Ten. And if USC actually had a good head coach, Well, first of all, they might be in the playoff conversation, but they're not blowing all these fourth quarter leads. Also, like Penn State and Wisconsin was kind of tight there for a minute. You cannot convince me that Penn State is a top 5 or a top. I don't care what kind of angle you come at me with. There's no way I'm going to buy it with this team.
Right. But then we were holding BYU down, who is undefeated with 2 wins over the committee's top 25. One of them at SMU. But still, we got Penn State and Indiana ahead of them, and Penn State with a loss and Indiana with nothing on the resume. It doesn't make any sense. Other than, BYU was unranked, picked at the bottom of the Big 12, 50 to 1 to win the league, and brand name bias.
How about still the slander on Boise? Right? Winning games, dropping, like you said. Genty doesn't go for 205 touchdowns, slips in the Heisman poll, or the Heisman odds anyway.
Yeah.
They almost beat the number 1 team in the country on the road.
Yeah, they outplayed them. They gave up 2 special teams touchdowns.
Sure they did. Ohio State's number 2 in the country, according to a lot of people, 5 in the polls. They got beat at Oregon. The game was also super tight. Boise gets beat, super tight, 2 special teams touchdowns, no credit for it at all.
That's right, yeah. Isn't that funny?
Sure.
Yeah, that's a great point.
You bet.
That's a great point. That's right. Oregon also couldn't contain Genty in that game. Ran wild.
I know.
It's maddening. But
it really is, and it has been forever. But at least we're getting 12 teams this year.
Yeah, well, and then, but if you're going to expand, though, it's just going to, because the SEC is going to cry, and even though they get 4, we want 5, and 3 lost teams, and what?
Well, you know that if it was a 14 playoff, there's no chance BYU, SMU, or Boise State would make it this year.
You're right.
They would have no prayer.
Yeah. Likely.
Up next, former NFL MVP Rich Gannon on the program. Does going back to Anthony Richardson help or hurt the Colts this week against the Jets? We'll ask him coming up on Follow the Money. It's VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Sports betting game with VSiN's exclusive betting splits. Stay ahead with real-time market trends and track bet percentages on any matchup, then uncover the edge by comparing them to the amount of bets placed to find out where the sharp money is headed. Upgrade to VSiN Pro to access betting splits, live odds, line moves, power ratings, and in-depth game analysis. Go to VSiN.com/pro to join VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
So, Paulie, have you had a chance to read the VSiN Daily yet?
Yeah, came in at 3 a.m. What's Bill doing up that late?
Well, rumor has it, it starts off with a 12-hour meditation session.
Then he just pours himself over film and live TV, really focusing and taking it all in. Bill's in with the biggest insiders, talking trade secrets, strategies, the whole nine, absorbing the info.
And then and only then can the writing process begin.
In Las Vegas, Bill's late night becomes your early morning. Wake up to the very latest betting insights in your inbox with the VSiN Daily. Sign up for free at vsin.com/newsletter.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
Welcome back. We are live downtown Las Vegas, Circa Resort and Casino, every Wednesday at this time. Former NFL MVP Rich Gannon joins the program as he is on the Progressive guest line. Rich, good afternoon. Thanks for the time as always. How are you?
Mitch and Paulie, it's great to be with my guys, my two favorite VSiN guys, my two favorite VSiN personalities. I look forward to every Wednesday, even if it's only 10 minutes, to be with you guys.
Love the passion, love the fire. Thank you for saying that. Very nice of you. Same here, back at you. Let's begin with this. Shane Steichen and the Colts today announced they're going to go back to second-year quarterback, Anthony Richardson this week against the Jets. Do you think that helps or hurts Indy this week specifically?
Well, it hurts them, right? They're playing against a good Jets defense. You know, Joe Flacco hasn't been the answer necessarily, guys, but his completion percentage is 23 points higher than Anthony Richardson. Anthony Richardson's completing 44% of his passes. He's thrown 4 touchdowns and 7 picks. You know, last year he played in 4 games. He got hurt. This is a quarterback at Florida that completed 52% of his passes. That's not very good in the college game, guys, because the ball rarely makes it down the field. We throw the ball at or around the line of scrimmage in college. And, you know, he went to the combine and he put on a freak show. He out-jumped everybody. He had the best broad jump. He had the best vertical jump. He did everything really, really well. But if you go back and look at the tape, you find a guy that doesn't have great footwork, that doesn't have great anticipation, and doesn't have great accuracy. He's completing 44% of his passes. I played high school football in Philadelphia. If I completed 44% of my passes, I wouldn't have started for St. Joe's Prep. That's how bad this is. And look, I want the kid to do well, but he's not ready for primetime football. He's just not. And I think this was a decision. The head coach, Shane Steichen, on Monday said that Joe Flacco's going to play. Today, he says that Anthony Richardson's going to play. Now, what do you suppose happened between Monday and Wednesday? The owner got involved. And the owner said, and the general manager said, we got to find out whether or not this kid can play. Is he the long-term answer? At 4-6, you know, you basically are saying that we're not going to be a playoff team, and we're going to try and ride this thing out and figure out whether or not this kid can be a franchise quarterback for the Colts.
Based on your experience and all your years in the league, can it work out to be a positive that he sat for 2 weeks, was coached up, and had a chance to learn from his mistakes and realize what he was doing wrong or maybe improve? Is that possible?
Guys, what can we learn in 2 weeks? I mean, let's be realistic. I think the fact that he missed so much time last year, I think he had a significant shoulder surgery in the offseason, and the fact that, you know, he's in a situation where he's not ready to play. And I don't care who you play, where you play him, you throw this kid out there, and the results aren't going to be good. Now, the crazy thing about it is he's a big, strong guy. You know, he's a little bit like Dante Culpepper. He's a big, thick guy that can move around, that can run, that can make a great play, a great throw every once in a while. But he struggles in situational football. He struggles on third down. He struggles down in the red zone. He struggles when he can't run around and extend plays. When he has to sit in the pocket and function as a pocket passer, he struggles. We saw this with Justin Fields the first couple seasons in Chicago, you know, and that's kind of who he is right now. He's a bigger version of Justin Fields, extremely athletic, but not very good with anticipation and accuracy.
You were great on the Lombardi line on the Bears fiasco, and then they got rid of Waldron after your appearance. What advice would you give the Chicago Bears and now Caleb Williams moving forward, and now we have Brown taking over calling the plays?
Guys, what a train wreck. You know, I'm looking at this league that we cover. It's nuts. I mean, I don't remember when I was playing teams firing coaches during the season, firing play callers during the season. How does this help Caleb Williams? Think about it. Shane Waldron didn't have a ton of experience to begin with. So they brought him in. This is a poor reflection on the organization and Matt Eberflus. If you didn't think that was a good hire. And by the way, the numbers are awful when you look at the Bears' offensive statistics. Mm-hmm. But you brought him in. That doesn't work out. So what are you going to do? You're going to fire him during the season, and you're going to promote Thomas Brown to call plays. You remember who he is? He got the chance to call plays last year, mm-hmm. right? In Carolina, when they fired the head coach, Frank Reich. He doesn't have any experience. He did it for a handful of games last year, and now you turn over a rookie quarterback to a guy that doesn't have a lot of experience? This is crazy. It's absolutely insane what's happening. Matt Eberflus is trying to change his job. He knows that they're not playing well offensively, and the quarterback, the first overall pick in the draft, is struggling. So what does he do? He fires the offensive coordinator, and he promotes a guy that doesn't have experience calling plays.
Oh.
This is crazy.
Great rant. Who do you think should coach the Bears next year? Is it somebody? So you talked about experience right there. Ben Johnson, great play caller, no head coaching experience. Would that be a good path to take, or do they need a guy in there with really like a lot of experience at that head coaching spot?
Here's a great point. When you're a head coach, you have to coach the entire football team. I played for Marty Schottenheimer in Kansas City, guys, and when there was a problem on the offensive side of the ball, he could fix it. He could come over and coach the quarterbacks. He could coach special teams. He could coach the linebackers. He could coach every position. Bill Belichick could do that. The good ones, Andy Reid can do that in Kansas City. And, oh, by the way, he's the play caller. When you hire somebody in Chicago, they've got to be able to coach the entire team. You've got a defensive-minded head coach, Matt Eberflus, that calls the defense. And he's got a problem on the offensive side of the ball, and he can't fix it. You got a situation in New York. Jeff Ulbrich. He's a defensive coordinator. They've got problems on offense. They've got protection problems. They've got a 40-year-old quarterback that's not comfortable. He can't fix the problems on offense because he doesn't understand the offense. I mean, you see what I'm saying here? This is insane. You have to have a head coach that can coach the entire football team, not just the guy that you pluck from Sean McVay's staff or, Kyle Shanahan that's the next, wonder kid or wonder coach. You got to find somebody who's a good football coach that can coach the entire football team. And that's where a lot of these owners and GMs make big mistakes. You got these owners, guys, that are billionaires. They're brilliant businessmen, but they don't know how to run a football team. They don't know how to hire. There's been so many 30 head coaches have been fired in the last 4 years. Think about that, guys. 30 head coaches. You know how many coordinators have been fired? It's ridiculous. It's more than that. We're doing a bad job in the evaluation process. We do a bad job when it comes to evaluating who the potential candidates are. And we're in a very dysfunctional cycle right now. You can tell by my heart rate, guys. Yeah. I'm a little worked up. This is craziness. This is $1 billion business. It's crazy what we're doing.
Awesome answer. No, you're spot on with that. We've been saying this for a while. Like, where are all the good candidates? Where are they going to come from when all these guys get fired again? I don't know.
Well, you gotta have a plan in place, and I think it's not just who you hire, but like the Jets, for a great example, the Raiders. You have to look at what are we doing from an organizational perspective. You got to look at your culture and the environment. It's not one person is going to be able to fix it, right? So I think you have to address why are we losing? What are they doing in Pittsburgh and in Green Bay? And in Kansas City, where they have historically had success. How are they having sustained success? And I think you have to look at some of those organizations. You have to look at your own organization and say, what are we doing wrong? Where are we making the mistakes in our evaluation process with coaches, assistant coaches? I mean, we hire some coaches, and they make bad hires. You have a first-time head coach, and he hires a first-time play caller on offense and defense to coach a rookie quarterback. Think about the lack of experience. It's insane, guys. Yeah. It is absolutely insane what we're seeing right now in the NFL.
It's the buddy system, it sounds like. I'm just saying, you've been with me, and I'll give you I'll help you out, I'll return the favor, whatever, and they all get whacked together.
You know who suffers the most are the wives and the kids. And I'm being serious. Everyone's getting fired. Right? At least they're getting paid, but everybody's getting fired. It's insane what's happening in the NFL. And you know who loves it? I'll tell you who loves it. Mike Tomlin, Andy Reid, John Harbaugh, Matt LaFleur. These coaches that do it the right way, that have a system and culture that's conducive to winning, and have good quarterbacks that how to develop the position. Those are the teams that are really happy, right? With all the dysfunction everywhere else in the NFL.
Well said. Rich, about 90 seconds left here. A couple of huge games this weekend. Here's one for you. Chiefs, 2.5-point underdogs against Buffalo on the road. Seemingly, they find different ways to win. 5 guys could have blocked the kick against the Broncos at the end of the game.
Yes.
That was just silly. Do you have an opinion on this game? Do you think the Chiefs continue to win with this crazy winning streak that they have?
I can't get enough. I really think right now the Buffalo Bills are the better team, but you can't overlook what the Chiefs are doing, guys. They're finding ways to win. I think their defense, to me, has been the difference. Chris Jones in the middle of that defense, Steve Spagnuolo. You get big plays out of the kicking game. I think they're doing just enough offensively to get by. I don't know if it's sustainable. but they're the last undefeated team. And here's the thing to keep in mind. The Chiefs haven't played their best football, but when they do, watch out. And it usually comes in the second half of the season. I'm not suggesting it's going to happen this week, but this is a team that once they get on a roll is tough to beat.
No question. Excellent spot, as always, Rich. Thanks so much for the time. We appreciate that.
You guys are the best.
Thank you. Hope to
Enjoy
meet
the
you
games
soon.
this week. There you go. Rich Gannon on the Progressive Guest Line.
How about this? I get a top defensive coordinator in Chicago, and now I'm seeing a lot of Kingsbury stuff because you coach Caleb Williams.
As the head coach?
Yeah. Has experience with Caleb Williams.
Way better than what they have right now and what they've had for a while, so... We will go over NBA Cup odds movement after night one and hit tonight's card up next. I'll give you some numbers you need to know for player props here and follow the money. It's VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
And they're off.
Sports betting game with VSiN's exclusive betting splits. Stay ahead with real-time market trends and track bet percentages on any matchup, then uncover the edge by comparing them to the amount of bets placed to find out where the sharp money is headed. Upgrade to VSiN Pro to access betting splits, live odds, line moves, power ratings, and in-depth game analysis. Go to vsin.com/pro to join VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
This is VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
How good is Rich Gannon? Every week. That is gold.
Yeah, I like it ticked off Rich Gannon, too.
Oh, man, it's even better.
Yeah, no one's qualified.
How about some of the odds movement after night one of the NBA Cup?
Yes,
thanks,
I'm here.
Hey, by the way, thanks for checking in on the season Philadelphia 76ers.
Hello.
Wow.
Embiid, I want to play tonight. No, you don't. No, you don't. Because if you wanted to play, you'd be out there.
Of course you
would.
So
this whole thing, I'm not playing back-to-backs, and he had nothing. He was gassed right away. Conditioning, a problem again. Lose to the Knicks. Boy, oh boy. Again, they don't have a win in regulation this year.
I love that Shaq absolutely kills him. Kills him.
So does Barkley.
And last night, he was just basically saying...
Yeah?
And Shaq is so fatigued, I think, about the whole Embiid nonsense. Because he wasn't like Rich Gannon fired up. He was just like last night, he goes, how do you want to be remembered, man? Like, how do you want us to think about you when it's all said and done? Because I got news for you, Joel Embiid. It's not pretty.
No.
It's not going to be, when you're done, if this is it, like, if this is how you're going to, like, go, like, if your career ended today, you'd be a laughingstock. People would destroy you for the career that you had in Philadelphia.
Uh-huh.
I honestly, I mean, some of the players in today's NBA, it makes me want to pound my head against the wall so many times. He's Exhibit A.
Uh-huh. And I still have guys on ESPN and guys like Tim Bontemps just singing the praises about how good this team is the last 3 years. No, they're not. They're not. Because when it's time to win a big game, you can't count on them. They're not there because they're injured, something happens, or they don't deliver and do weird stuff, bizarre stuff, like blowing big leads to the Atlanta Hawks, or you go out in the first round yet again. So stop with the Philly. Now, here we go again with the Cavs. Now we're up to 11. No George, no Embiid. Your movement you'll talk about. Cavs here. What happened with the Celtics, I mean, not only win here, but with the tiebreaker scenario by margin, get it done here, and we can win the group.
So you'll have more details on that loss last night by the Celtics. That's all-timer.
Well, yes, it was.
No joke. To lose that game, that big of a point spread involved in that spot. So the Celtics, obviously, they were the short shot to win that specific group. Also in the group, obviously, the Hawks, who they lost to last night. They were a much bigger number, and the Cavaliers. So now the Cavaliers are plus 160. Just don't screw this up, Cleveland. Okay, so beat the, severe injuries here for the 76ers.
Yes.
Everybody's banged up on that team. Don't blow it tonight. Win this group. Take care of business. And Jonathan Von Tobel, I'll buy you a beer if this comes in, because that was a great call by him before last night. Now things are really opening up here for the Cavaliers to win this group.
When do you see a team or a price go from $1.25 to $1,400 in 10 days? That's the division price on Cleveland now. Oh. Best record at the All-Star break, Cleveland plus 125. Most wins, plus 260. One seed, plus 130. Again, longest winning streak of the season. It hasn't moved. It's $1.30. Yeah, you got to tie your money up, but they're going to win tonight. They're probably going to win a couple more games. Boston's going to win 15, 16 in a row. I'll take my chances.
Sure, just going to be tough to top that.
Yeah, good luck, because Boston is not taking their opponents seriously.
Now, some of the other groups, because of the Warriors' win last night, and that was a fantastic game.
Yes, it was.
And that was Paris Steph. I felt sorry for Lively on the switch. Right before he had a big guy like that. I don't care who it is. Wembanyama didn't have a chance in Paris. He's like 5 feet taller than him. His hand's right here above Steph's head. And Steph got it off, that epic photo that came out during the Olympics, and he still made the three.
Is he underrated still?
Well,
how he changed basketball, but I'd still go Magic Johnson. But
you can't. You can't.
You can.
Steph Curry's all-time.
He's on Magic's resume, but
Curry is absolutely, in my opinion, all-time starting five.
He just takes over. And they're down 7 with 3 minutes. Then he goes to work, cooks you, and they cover. Mm-hmm. You can't. That's why these people. The NBA was so bad in the 80s and 90s, and especially going early 2000s.
Or early 2000s.
Wow. Right. More so that, right. No one could shoot. This guy's changed basketball. These guys, you can't guard them. What are you going to do? Shooting from the parking lot, hand in the face doesn't matter.
No. 12 straight points.
It just takes over. Absolutely. So, and then you had Clay, too, going with the shimmy there as well, what he was doing. But Clay was ready to go, too. And good job, guys. I saw, the people with the ladder, and he was 6-1 to hit 6 threes, and he delivered, too. We knew it was a big moment for him.
Had to make that bet last night. Several bets on him.
Yeah.
So glad that came in. Warriors are plus 125 now to win their group. Nuggets plus 160. The other group is fascinating because the Wolves got...
Oh, boy.
The Blazers couldn't miss last night from three.
Loss.
They started, I think, 17 to 25. So the Kings are plus 220, Wolves plus 270, Clippers who's going to win that group? You can make a case for almost all of them.
I know.
Except Blazers now down to 9-1. I think they were 35-1.
I don't like this trade for either team.
Oh, no.
With the Knicks and the T-Wolves.
Nope, neither did I.
It's taken too long to get. It's not going well. The early return's no good.
So I'll give you some numbers for tonight. Player props. Cavaliers you want to do anything with this game overall? Total's 218.
Cavs team total.
Okay, look at that one more time.
They've scored 14 in every game but one. 110 in every game but one. Yeah.
You want to go Jared Allen over points tonight? He's 9-3 over 12.5 points on the year. No Embiid. And again, several other injuries for the 76ers here.
Yeah, not a bad angle.
Donovan Mitchell, 10-2 under, 4.5 rebounds on the year. And Evan Mobley, 10-2 under, 31.5 points, rebounds, and assists.
Yep. I want to take a look at, now I want to start betting some overs with Wembanyama, because here he comes. Now, should a 7'4" guy be taking that many threes? Hell no.
Probably not.
But he found his shot. 6 of 12 from 3. 34 points, 14 rebounds. 6 of 9 from 3. 24 points, 16 rebounds, 7 blocks. And then the other night, he had 24, 13, and 9 blocks. So now after a slow start, much like last year, here comes Wembanyama, here come the blocks, finding his shot, and you also have the Spurs laying double digits tonight against Washington. But if he's going to take that many threes, and he's jacking a lot of them, 12, 9, 9, 9, 9, 13 with the attempts, I would just... But 13 attempts for a guy that's 7'4", come on. But I would look with the over, with the threes, and also the points, because he is locked in right now.
A couple things on that, too. I think over points, good prop tonight for Wemby. And I'll tie it into this. Why not Chris Paul over 8.5 assists plus money?
That's right.
Here's the reason why. They're taking on, one of the bottom feeders of the NBA in Washington. And Washington has allowed at least 118 points in every game but one so far this year. They're 2-7 on the year. So you factor that in. And by the way, a lot of teams have blown by 118 points. I use that kind of as a baseline. If they get to that number or way beyond that, I would think that Paul's going to be responsible for a lot of assists, and Wemby's probably going to score a ton of points.
Yeah.
So, Clippers at the Rockets. Norm Powell, how good is this?
He's been great.
He's 10-1 over his points prop, 9-2 when it's 21.5 like tonight.
There you go. Yep.
But they're a 4-point dog to the Rockets.
He was a little short. Houston's got a pretty good team, especially at home. And I can't get involved with the totals anymore on road games. I'll just stick with the home games. Speaking of totals, 9-point move in the Bucks game. 221 down to 212 against the Pistons. Yeah, I don't want the under with the Bucks.
Yeah, although that was a very low scoring for a Raptors game last night.
It was, yeah.
Bucks, their opponent, obviously.
Well, you didn't have Lillard.
I know.
That's the comeback about why it was why that happened. But that's who knows.
In that game, Jaden Ivey on the season 10-2 over 3.5 rebounds. Giannis 9-1 under a half of 3. He's made 1 3 the entire year. But you're paying through the nose for it right now to him not to make a 3.
That. Yeah,
it's like the Matthew Stafford rushing yard.
Right. Don't you like the Pacers tonight?
I'm there with you.
I don't
yes.
get it. They've been playing games with this all day. Orlando opened 2, then it went to Indiana 2, and now it's back down to pick. And some places swung back to Orlando 1. But on a back-to-back, and I think give the Pacers time. This is what we said yesterday. The Pacers are 5-5. The Magic are 6-6. There's your 3 seed in the East. The 3 seed in the East is 500. But I like the Pacers tonight.
I'm with you.
There's a lot of teams on back-to-backs, too, which usually gets funky, like the Suns, and that's priced in. Look what the Kings are laying tonight, which I know you have a good call on Beal, which I know you have Durant out, but that's a lot of points that the Suns are getting tonight.
I think we got to come back and go with Beal one more time, right?
Yes.
Same numbers last night, 21.5.
I don't mind that. No doubt. So many sports in action. No better time to put the VSiN experts to work for you. Become a VSiN Pro subscriber today. Instant access. Everything we do, every best bet, every host, every guest, and the leaderboard to see who has the hot hand. 19 hours of live programming. The dog videos. A doozy with the hippo coming up. Power ratings, better ratings, and the betting splits. $9.99. Start your subscription today. Up your game. Become part of the team. VSiN.com/subscribe. Tell your friends. Makes a great gift. Let's go.
Okay, so how about Bulls at Knicks tonight?
Too much.
Back-to-back here for the Knicks. Right? Bad defensively, good offensively. Bulls, fastest pace in the league.
Yep.
And Vucevic is 10-1 over his point prop when it's 17.5. That's the number tonight. Is he going to face much resistance at all against this bad Knicks defense so far?
No. So you don't. I understand the people that didn't like it, but you can't teach chemistry, and they had it, and I know why you didn't like the trade, because they're trying to find an identity right now, and you broke up the Nova guys, and it's. I'll still give it time, but they shouldn't be this bad defensively, and a big reason why is Cat with that incredible number. When he's the primary defender, guys at the rim are shooting 90-something%. Come on, have some. Yeah.
I couldn't believe the trade when it came across my Twitter timeline, whenever that was. It was like Labor Day weekend, I think, something like that. I just was, you got to be kidding me. Awful. Paul's going to recap last night's betting action with Win Some, Lose Some coming up on Follow the Money. It's VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
You spoke, we listened. Introducing the all-new VSiN Watch app. Now, you can watch and listen to VSiN expert analysis live wherever you are. Missed a show? No problem. Catch replays of VSiN's full lineup at any time. View highlights sorted by sport. Or use the search feature to find specific teams and topics you're looking for. And the best part? It's free for a limited time. Download the VSiN Watch app today. Available now on the App Store and Google Play. And join us on the Sports Betting Network. last night? Wow, winning. Or was it a rough one?
Well, they can't all be winners, can they?
Loser! You're a loser!
Paulie Howard recaps the night in sports betting in Win Some, Lose Some.
Something going on every night. Can't get enough of this. Fourth biggest upset in NBA history. Hawks plus 950 on the money line. 16-point dogs. Boston from 13 up to 16. Atlanta beats them. How does it happen?
I think the Wolves lost last year as like a 19.5-point favorite to the Blazers or something like that.
You are correct. Yep. They're going back what happened in the early 80s. How long did you track this? You know, who other than Bruce Marshall, who has this information?
Right.
You know, right? But going back, it's that's your big boy. One of your big boys. Great job by the Hawks. Blazers plus 350. Buried Minnesota. What happened? Klay Thompson. 6 threes, paid 6 to 1. How about this at FanDuel? The method of the first point, score, basket, whatever. Thompson free throw, 130 to 1.
You're kidding me.
Yeah, I saw the ticket. Yeah. He got the ball, first possession, Steph Curry fouled him, hit the free throw, 130 to 1. Method of the first basket score. Now remember, DraftKings changed this too. It used to be first field goal. DraftKings, after 4 years, put if free throws count. Our guy who we had on first score when you were involved with the tip stuff with Miles Turner, he's been tracking us and following it. FanDuel's been doing it for years with how they grade it. Saw the ticket.
I bet first three
Makes
from
sense.
Klay. I didn't even see that market available. Well, we don't have FanDuel here in town.
Well, but what are the odds he gets fouled right away, though, and would knock down a free throw?
Well, there was a thought, though, to bet him every which way but loose last night.
Well, there's some guy had him for $100,000. There you go.
Oh,
Magic from 6 up to 9 in the under, 219.5 down to 213. Mavs Warriors over. What a game. 230.5 up to 235. And the Suns from 3 up to 5. College football, Bowling Green, 7 up to 9.5. Won by 18. Ball State, 5.5 down to 3.5. They lost by 3. They got the money. College hoops. All right, Richie, not bad. 1-1. Richie Edwardsville gave that out. Plus 230 on the money line. Kentucky, 2-1. Beat Duke. What'd you think?
You like Kentucky, too. He said he bet him plus 6.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think this year March Madness is going to be awesome yet again. It's so early, right? Not even Thanksgiving yet. But I think we're going to have a chance to have a ton of really good teams again. I'm not sure how good Kentucky is going to be this year, but I think they're going to be a problem for some. And I don't want to overreact with Duke last night. Flag's going to be awesome, I'm guessing, right?
Yeah, what's your concern?
I don't know how deep they are.
All right, fine. Could be. Delaware plus 230, Belmont plus 260. NCA&T against George Washington over 148.5 up to 156, 85-80. Portland State from 3 to minus 2.5. And the over, 153.5 up to 157, 85-76. How about that move? Georgia from 10 up to 15. Yeah, it fell 13. Winnipeg Jets did it again. First team in NHL history to start 15-1. The fourth team since 1967-68 to lead through 15 games in goals and goals against. 73 goals scored. Third most in the last 30 years. 7-0 on the road. 36 goals scored on the road. Most in that span to start. First 7 road games. They were underdogs last night. How good is this story?
Pretty good.
Wow.
I'd say
getting enough attention.
I brought it up yesterday. It's better than the Cavaliers.
Yeah.
And the Cavaliers don't have a loss.
That's right. Subscribe, be part of the team, VSiN.com. Our radio and podcast friends, you always want to see these tweets and videos. Paulie does Vegas on Instagram. Send them to me. We'll put you on. This is great. The dog's here, the big guy and the little guy, sitting on the couch watching Paw Patrol, and they love it. The owner comes in and shuts it off. The dogs lose their minds. Hey, put that back on. I was watching it. The big guy's barking at him. Then the little guy comes over about, what are you doing? And he's trying to figure out, put it back on. And the dog goes up and he's barking at the TV. The other guy's barking at the owner. Okay, fine. He puts Paw Patrol back on. And then they go back on the couch, go back to watch it. They're mesmerized. They love it. They can't get enough. See that? Look at that. I love this. Goes right back on the couch.
Right back to the seat.
Yeah, right. And then he shuts it off again. And then the big guy loses his mind. It's like, hey, I was watching my program. What are you doing? Mitch, it doesn't get any better than this. This really puts it in perspective. Open him up. The hippo with the pumpkin again. He comes right up to the fence, and the guy just puts the pumpkin in the hippo's mouth. And again, it's like us with a Tic Tac. I just love this. He just puts it down, no problem. Isn't it something?
Of course. I mean, this has been like mesmerizing video for a handful of years now. I can't get over the teeth.
How big his face is.
Look at the teeth on the outside.
Yeah, right. That too. Well, that was we showed that a couple weeks ago, how they clean their teeth when a guy comes out.
Look at his jaws.
Yeah.
He would rip the torso off that human being.
Mm-hmm.
Snap.
Love it.
Done.
Love Ray Ratto. He's been on the show a couple times. So this gal tweets, I am painfully ill-equipped to emotionally handle the success of the sports teams I follow and love. Why do I need angst and hand-wringing in my sports life? I need help. Ratto replies, start betting against them. You'll make money and learn to disengage. You're welcome. First person to respond, Matt Humans. That's great advice.
Yeah, it is.
He's right.
Sure is.
Yeah. Totally agree.
The emotional hedge.
Correct.
It's been a thing for longer than we've been around, probably.
Plenty of lose some. Toledo, Central Michigan over. 49 up to 52, 37-10. Celtics, 13 up to 16.5. And the under, 236.5 down to 225. Heat Pistons under, 219.5 down to 214. See that? Was Spoelstra?
Oh, boy.
Called the time. Funny, Jalen Rose was courtside. Spoelstra called the timeout. They didn't have one left. Lost the game as a result. Suns Jazz under, 232 down to 228.5, 120 to 112. College hoops, Monmouth +2, went off a 2.5-point favorite. No good. Temple, that's actually bet for the books. Temple was an underdog in that game. I wrote the wrong thing down. Didn't they just play? No, it was St. Joe's. That's right. Temple from 7 up to 11.5. They won by 8. I was thinking of St. Joe's. One lose some. You got the volume up for this one? Imagine. Mitch, you want to do this? One bad beat. I mentioned Dallas. Dallas +2.5. Up 7 with 3 minutes. They couldn't cover. And it didn't go to overtime. Then Curry took over and started cooking. Oh, they had the ball too, I think.
I watched the whole thing.
One. Yep. I'll show the Husky tomorrow. Nothing delivers comfort and joy quite like the unrivaled quality and taste of Omaha Steaks. I got my package delivered. Can't wait. The burgers, the brats, the steaks. Skip the holiday hustle and bustle. Save 50% off gourmet gifts site-wide. OmahaSteaks.com. Plus, get a $30 reward card when you shop early. Get an extra $30 off with promo code MONEY. 5 generations of experience. They consistently deliver the world's best steak experience. And the gifting experts at Omaha Steaks have great packages starting at $89.99. Legendary steaks, the great desserts. Save 50% off site-wide. OmahaSteaks.com. Plus, our listeners get an extra $30 off with promo code MONEY. Code MONEY. And the $30 reward card when you shop early. What a gift idea. Right with the holidays. Come on. 50% off OmahaSteaks.com. Minimum purchase may apply. Code MONEY.
Now, I will say that Flag looked good last night until the very end. Very sloppy. 2 unforced turnovers, basically. The one absolutely was just bad, where he slipped kind of and out of bounds, and they had to go back and look. And I think he's probably going to be really good this year in his freshman year. Did he look like a guy that's the overwhelming number one going to wreck the NBA when he gets there?
Not like Wembanyama and others we've seen, but yeah. I don't know, some of this stuff I don't understand. Like, I was convinced, I couldn't believe Westbrook went top 5 that one year, and everyone said he's going to be a star, and he was.
Yeah.
But I didn't see it there. But maybe it was Ben Howland, how they were running his offense. They had Westbrook and Love, and he walked the ball up the floor. But, yeah, I don't know. That's a tough call.
Yeah. I just have some concerns, and I bet them, like Humans, when he came on the air a couple weeks ago and said, yeah, got to bet Duke 12-1 in pocket because of Flag, because of some of the other big guys, too, and they were making an impact right away. I tailed that, and, again, very early, but it's by far the best team they played so far last night, and the lack of depth really was kind of alarming to me. So, but they're also all super young freshmen going against a team that all those players that Pope brought in, Calipari left him nothing, not a single player, right? So he had to put this team together, and they're all veterans with a zillion games under their belt. And so it's going to be like you're going to have that learning curve for Duke when they go against teams like that.
See, that's why this has changed and why it drives me nuts with college football. Well, number one, dismiss the little guy, and we continue to play this stupid game of, but who would you take? Texas, SMU, who would win that game? Come on. Yeah. Look what happens every March Madness.
Right.
What are you talking about? That's not how you play sports or put together a playoff. But that goes back to, I will take the juniors and seniors against your stud freshmen.
Oh, this is going to go way back. And if you've been around with VSiN for like 5-6 years, you might remember this. odds makers here in Las Vegas said that the Duke team with Zion Williamson would have been like a 9.5, 10-point favorite over 1990 UNLV.
Those were men.
We lost our minds. We're laughing at them. Stop. They would get come on. They're 19-year-old freshmen, 18-year-old freshmen. We're talking about 21-year-old men on UNLV.
All top 15
They kill them.
Yeah.
And so many people agreed with them. I'm like, okay, fine. You bet, guys. Up next, Sal Paolantonio from ESPN is going to join the program. We'll get his best bet or bets for the week. He's going to be strong, I think, on Thursday night with Washington and Philadelphia. Find out who he likes next year on VSiN.
Sports bettors, this is your chance. VSiN is bringing you an unbeatable deal. Get a VSiN Pro subscription